You probably walked through Trader Joe's this week and it looked completely normal. Full shelves, same prices, same friendly chaos. That's exactly the problem. Trader Joe's doesn't put up a sign before something disappears. The shelf itself is the warning. And by the time you notice, the version you actually want is already gone. One item on this list is reportedly the single best-selling product in the entire store, and it's still the most exposed thing on it. You have time, just not as much as the shelf makes you think. Here's what nobody tells you. This isn't about empty shelves. It's about which version of a product survives when costs go up. Trader Joe's has almost no name brand backup, no loyalty coupons to soften a bad year, and usually one supplier standing behind each item. When a crop fails or a tariff line moves, the product doesn't get pricier, it gets pulled. Start with the one sitting quietly on the cooking oil shelf, priced like nothing in the world is wrong. Number 8. Imported olive oil. Same bottle, same label, same spot on the shelf it's occupied for years. That's exactly why nobody's watching it. Most people assume olive oil is just olive oil, the way flour is flour. It isn't. Almost all of it traces back to a small handful of Mediterranean growing regions, which means one bad harvest, one new tariff line, touches the entire bottle style at once, not just a random SKU somewhere in the warehouse. Industry writers have flagged Italian-sourced olive oil specifically as one of the first products worth watching as import costs shift. That's not a dramatic headline. It's a quiet one, which is exactly the kind that gets missed. Here's the home version of that. You're halfway through a recipe, reach for the bottle you always buy, and it's not there. What's there instead is a blend you don't recognize, from a country you didn't expect, at a price that looks the same but tastes different in the pan. Check the country printed under the ingredients next time you grab it, not just the price tag above it. And here's the twist that makes this whole list make sense. Trader Joe's price only works because they don't discount anywhere else to cushion a cost increase. There's no sale to offset a bad harvest. So instead of that bottle climbing 50 cents, it just leaves the shelf. Gone is faster than expensive. Here. If it's already part of your regular rotation, grab an extra bottle now. Sealed oil keeps well in a cool cabinet. That's a small, easy fix. But the next item runs on that same imported cost problem, and almost nobody thinks of it as a grocery item at all. Number 7. Imported coffee. You grab the same bag out of habit every single trip. That habit is exactly what makes this one sneak past you. Coffee restocks constantly, so a gap on the shelf just looks like normal turnover, not a warning sign. But coffee has already been named as one of the categories showing some of the sharpest recent price pressure among Trader Joe's imports, tied to duties on the countries the beans actually come from. Your morning cup may have already gotten quietly more expensive somewhere upstream, even if the tag on the shelf hasn't caught up yet. Here's where it gets personal. One week the bag you always buy is swapped for something similar, a new blend with different sourcing language on the back. Your whole morning routine, the thing that makes early mornings tolerable, gets interrupted midweek with no warning at all. And here's the part that surprises people. Popularity does not protect this item. High demand plus a tight margin is exactly the combination that triggers a quiet substitution, not a price hike. The busier the shelf, the more likely it quietly changes underneath you. Buy sealed bags in the size your household actually finishes before it goes stale. 2 months of supply is sensible. A pantry full of stale coffee helps nobody. That problem is annoying, but it's still a daily habit. The next item isn't something you reach for every day. It's the one people only think about once a year, right when it matters most. Number 6. Cocoa and chocolate treats. Picture the same candy bar, same wrapper, same size, same spot near the register. Except the cocoa inside now costs roughly double what it did just a few years ago, even after some easing in 2026. Double. That's not a rounding error, and it's the kind of number worth remembering the next time you're standing in that aisle. Most global cocoa still funnels through one growing region that's been battered by drought and disease in recent years. When that region has a bad season, the effect doesn't stay local. It shows up in your dessert drawer. Shoppers already saw items like dark chocolate espresso beans and chocolate peanut butter cups pulled in the 2026 wave of cuts. It's easy to assume that's just normal seasonal rotation, treats coming and going the way they always have. But this time, the driver isn't taste trends. Its cost. Here's what that looks like at home. Dessert night is planned, the go-to treat is gone, and there's no similar swap sitting nearby to fill the gap. The milk chocolate basics stick around because they're cheaper to hold at a stable price. The dark, cocoa-forward stuff goes first. And here's the deeper twist. Trader Joe's would rather cut a product entirely than let the affordable indulgence reputation slip with a higher price tag. That reputation is worth more to them than any one candy bar. So the treat disappears instead of costing you $1 more. If your household already eats shelf-stable chocolate items regularly, buy a couple now. They hold for months in a cool cabinet, no rush required. But the next item isn't a treat at all. It's the ingredient that makes treats worth eating in the first place. Number 5. Single origin vanilla baking items. Real vanilla comes from a vine that has to be pollinated by hand, one flower at a time, in a single day-long window, in one part of the world that grows almost all of it. That single sentence explains most of the shortage risk on its own. One bad storm season in that region, and the ripple runs through a full year of production. Madagascar vanilla bean cookie dough was already pulled in the 2026 wave of discontinuations. Most shoppers won't connect that to agriculture at all. Vanilla sounds generic, interchangeable, like any bottle does the job. It doesn't. Here's the moment that catches people off guard. A baker mid-recipe reaches for the extract or the dough they always use, and it's gone. What's left is an artificial flavor substitute, and the difference shows up immediately in the finished batch. Not ruined, just noticeably, disappointingly different. The category still exists on the shelf, technically. It's the authentic version that vanishes first, while the cheaper imitation hangs around fine. That's the pattern worth remembering. The product staying doesn't mean the version you actually want is staying with it. If real vanilla is already part of your regular baking, buy an extra bottle or tub of the exact format you use, not just any vanilla product that happens to be nearby. Vanilla depends on one fragile crop. The next item depends on something even less resilient, a trend growing faster than the supplier behind it can keep up with. Number 4. Coconut-based dairy-free items. Here's a strange one. Demand for dairy-free products has been climbing for years. You'd think that means more shelf space, more supply, more security. Instead, coconut creamers were pulled in that same 2026 wave, right alongside items that got cut for the opposite reason, low demand. That's the paradox. The more people who wanted this, the harder it became for one supplier relationship to keep delivering it reliably at Trader Joe's price point. Popularity, in this case, didn't protect the product. It stressed the system that made it. For someone avoiding dairy for a real reason, not a preference but a genuine restriction, this isn't a small inconvenience. It functions closer to infrastructure. The dairy version of the same product sits fully stocked 2 feet away, completely unaffected, while the one format that actually works for that household disappears with no direct swap in the store. That's the scene worth picturing. Someone standing in front of a full shelf that does absolutely nothing for them, because the one version they need isn't there. If dairy-free is a genuine household requirement, keep a small rotating buffer instead of buying only when the fridge runs empty. That demand problem is frustrating on its own, but the next item flips the logic entirely. This time it's a supplier problem, quietly wearing a formula change as a disguise. Number 3. Flavored peanut snacks. Here's the mistake almost everyone makes without noticing. You glance at the nut aisle, see peanuts are still there, and assume the exact jar you like is still there too. It isn't always. Regional reports describe honey-roasted peanuts missing from shelves in some areas, with crew pointing to a supplier change and rising peanut costs behind a quiet shift toward plainer, cheaper, salted formats. The peanuts didn't vanish. The honey coating did. Same category, wrong version. That's the clearest example on this whole list of the category surviving while the format underneath it quietly changes. The section still looks full. It's just full of the wrong jar. At home, this shows up small but annoying. A lunchbox routine or an afternoon snack habit built around one specific flavor, suddenly needing a plain substitute nobody in the house actually likes as much. Minor. But repeated every week, it adds up to real frustration. Here's the relief though. This is the cheapest, most fixable item on the entire list, as long as you notice the label change before the shelf empties out completely. If your household already eats a specific flavored version, buy 2. Sealed jars keep for months in a pantry. No special storage required. That one was a format swap. The next item is a completely different kind of trap. It disappears every single year, right on schedule, and most people still forget about it until it's already gone. Number 2. Seasonal bakery bread. Every year it shows up, and every year people assume it always will. That's exactly the trap. Bakery rotations at Trader Joe's are some of the least predictable categories in the entire store. With no public schedule, anyone can check ahead of time. This particular seasonal loaf ran past its usual spring cutoff in the 2025 to 2026 window, sitting on shelves longer than expected, before quietly clearing out with no confirmed return date attached to it. A loaf that shows up reliably for years can vanish the one year nobody thought to ask when. Here's why shoppers get caught off guard. Seasonal items feel guaranteed simply because they've always come back before. That assumption works right up until the season it doesn't. Picture a small family tradition built around a holiday loaf. And this year there's nothing similar on the shelf to fill the gap in time. Not a supply crisis. Just a short window shrinking down to zero window, with nobody warned in advance. The fix here is simple and calm. The moment a seasonal item like this appears, buy it and freeze it instead of waiting, assuming there's plenty of time left in the season. There usually isn't as much as it looks like. Timing took that one out. The final item on this list isn't about timing, or cost, or format at all. It's about the entire way this store decides what survives. Number 1. The chain's best-selling frozen entree. Here's the reveal the whole list has been building toward. Longtime shoppers have described this frozen entree as historically the single best-selling product in the entire store. Not a niche favorite, not a seasonal treat. The top seller, full stop. And it runs through the exact same private label sourcing chain as every item already cut in 2026. One manufacturer, one recipe, one contract behind the scenes. If that relationship ends, there's no second supplier quietly waiting in line the way a national brand would have. Most people assume popularity is protection. Everyone buys it, so surely it's untouchable. That assumption is backwards at this particular store. Sales rank offers zero protection under a model built on single suppliers and no discounting. The number 1 seller in the whole store still depends on one relationship, one phone call, going well. Here's the home consequence, and it's the biggest one on this list. This is somebody's weekly go-to dinner, the thing that turns a tired weeknight into an easy one. If it disappears, there's no direct substitute anywhere else in the store. Not a similar item. Nothing. Popularity built this product. Price built it. Reputation built it. And none of those 3 things can save it if the one supplier behind it runs into trouble. That's the twist nobody expects, because it isn't about an ingredient or a season at all. It's about the entire structure holding the product up. Don't panic and fill a freezer with it. Just stop assuming a favorite is permanent. Treat it exactly like everything else on this list, and grab an extra one the next time it's actually in stock. So, here's the whole picture, laid out together. Fat needs stable origins, or the cooking oil quietly disappears. A daily ritual needs pricing room to breathe, or the coffee gets swapped mid-week. A treat needs commodity, stability, or it vanishes before the wrapper even changes. Baking needs a resilient crop behind it, or the real version disappears while the fake one stays. A dietary substitute needs supplier depth, or it becomes a household weak point disguised as a preference. A snack needs format consistency, or the jar stays while the flavor leaves. A seasonal item needs a calendar nobody actually has access to. And even the best-selling item in the entire store needs more than one supplier standing behind it. Because sales numbers don't protect anything here. No single fix protects the whole pantry. That's the real lesson underneath all 8 of these. So here's the calm, practical version of what to do with this. On your next couple of trips, don't try to buy the whole list at once. Just grab one extra of whatever from this list your household is already eating, the stuff already in your cart anyway. Check the format before you check the price. That's the habit that actually matters here. The shelf doesn't need to go empty for a shortage to start. At a store built almost entirely on single suppliers and private labels, the warning looks exactly like a slightly different version sitting quietly where your favorite used to be. Which one of these have you already noticed thinning out at your store?